Welcome to Real Talk, Family Law with Richard Lebovitz.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Talk Family Law with Richard Lebovitz. Rich is a seasoned Maryland family law attorney with decades of experience helping clients through divorce, custody, and other complex family matters. He's known for his clear, honest guidance and commitment to helping clients move forward with confidence. I'm Evan Mack, and in today's episode, we're talking about mutual consent divorce in Maryland, one of the most efficient and low-conflict ways to end a marriage. If you or your spouse are mostly on the same page and want to avoid drawing out legal battles, this episode is for you. This is Divorce by Mutual Consent in Maryland. Welcome back, Richard.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Awesome. Richard, what is divorce by mutual consent? How is it different from contested divorce, if you can tell the people at home?
Essentially, a divorce by mutual consent in Maryland is when you would have a marital settlement agreement that resolves all issues of marital property, whether it's buying, selling the house, or buying out your partner from the house, resolving issues of any retirement or pension accounts, or how basically you have an agreement that resolves dividing of all your property, and if there's any minor children involved, that also has a custody and or child access plan in place and resolves issues of alimony. If all that is resolved in advance and through a marital settlement agreement and parenting plan, then we file a complaint for divorce, ask that the parties' agreement be incorporated but not merged into that agreement, into a divorce decree, and that's essentially it. We would file a complaint, attach the agreement, and the other side gets served with that. They file it with an answer saying, yes, this is our agreement. I want a divorce by mutual consent. And the court would immediately then just skip everything and schedule an uncontested divorce hearing. And in Maryland, it's usually done by Zoom. And it's pretty much that simple. And we can usually get a hearing within 3 to 4 months of filing the complaint. So it's a very fast, streamlined approach for moving forward. And the beauty about doing a divorce by mutual consent, you don't even have to be separated.
Wow.
You could, essentially you could be both living under the same roof, have an agreement, it could say 6 months from now or a year from now that we sell the house or one of the parties moves out, and you can get your divorce again and focus on the divorce side of it and then looking about refinancing or moving out later.
Do you find that people to be amicable like that, be able to move in, live together and get this situated, amicably?
In short, yes. The real issue is every case is fact specific. Mm-hmm. So the reality is when I can say, look, we can do a long drag out litigation, and you understand that even if I file a complaint today in all the different jurisdictions in Maryland, it could take up to a year or more to get a final divorce hearing. To have a hearing from essentially a stranger wearing a black robe, the judge deciding for you something, and you'd be surprised. Ideally, it's best to negotiate the agreement ahead of time before filing the complaint. But sometimes parties are either passive aggressive or for whatever reason they file a complaint first. But that doesn't. But the goal is always to draft up an agreement because essentially there's no need to air your dirty laundry or say anything negative about each other or say things in court that you can't unsay later. And it's just better to have an agreement and go the path of least resistance, if you can. Sometimes it's just you can't escape having to litigate, where some people just want their day in court. But the goal is to focus on doing an agreement, if we can do that, and resolve it.
So who qualifies for mutual consent divorce in Maryland? What conditions have to be met for it to apply?
So essentially the conditions are that you have a marital agreement that resolves all issues of marital property, dealing with the house, addressing whether you're agreeing to pay alimony or spousal support, either on a temporary or permanent basis, or mutual waiver of that. And so as long as there's something addressing how we're going to divide up marital property, then that's all that's needed. But if you have any minor children, then you would have a parenting plan in place that shows what access would be, whether you have sole legal or shared legal shared legal custody and physical custody, and say a holiday schedule. It's like if that's all resolved, then we can get you an uncontested divorce by mutual consent.
So what kind of things do spouses need to agree on ahead of time? Is it, custody, support, or property? Is that something they should kind of hash out before?
I mean, ideally, that they would. It's best that they did that, have that hashed out beforehand. But there's sometimes, if the party just doesn't know what they can ask for or what their
Mm,
rights are, that's where the initial consultation. That if you went back to episode one, you would say we would understand that. I would have a consult with you. I would explain what essentially the difference between a divorce by mutual consent versus a divorce by other grounds. So as in Maryland, we essentially have streamlined the whole divorce process. There's really just three grounds for divorce now. There's mutual consent, a separation in excess of 6 months, which can also occur while living separate apart under the same roof, or a catch-all of irreconcilable differences. So, essentially, the common theme is in all three is you can be living under the same roof, no longer have to essentially move out or separate and take on an additional rental or home or couch surf at neighbors or families' homes. You can, in theory, stay together in the house and work out all that as part of your agreement.
yeah, but so Richard, like divorces you are typically contentious, or they're said to be contentious. Do you find that this mutual consent makes things a little less contentious and a little bit easier for both parties?
It does. I mean, again, it depends on the facts of the case. Sometimes a case may not start off as as a kumbaya type situation.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you may have domestic violence or other
Mm,
issues that result in the separation. But throughout the course of the case, whether it's again, if they came to me from day one, hey, we've already spoken, we have an agreement. Let's just do a divorce by mutual consent. That's one way to resolve things. Or I've had cases where after the whole gamut of doing the scheduling conference, doing what's called discovery, of exchanging documents, and going to mediation, not reaching an agreement, going to a settlement conference, not reaching an agreement. On the day of a multi-day trial, we sit in the hallway, we talk to the judge. Hey, we might be able to resolve this after all. And then next thing an hour later, we're putting the agreement on the record by mutual consent. So it could basically be done at any time in the matter. In Maryland, we allow for modifying our what's called our pleadings verbally, even at trial, so that essentially we take the path of least resistance. We may file something that's highly contentious, but if we reach an agreement, we shift gears and just say, "Hey, we're divorced by mutual consent. Put the agreement on the record, and then we're done." There's no
hmm.
need to have to litigate or put anyone down or say anything negative about each other. We can just focus on what's important.
And speaking of documents or agreements, do they need to be submitted to the court for this type of divorce?
Yes, correct. And while usually you contact an attorney, there are some forms available online that you can download and fill out yourself. So as an attorney, I can do essentially as much or as little as you need me to do. Essentially, meaning you can hire me and I can do the full freight. Basically draft everything, file everything with the court, or you can come to me essentially with bullet points on a napkin or on a piece of paper or in an email, and I can convert that into an agreement. Or there's some like self-help documents out there that you can download it or as a fillable PDF that you could fill out and just file with the court and do all of this yourself, or contact me or consult me for a few hours of my time to review your documents and make sure that that they can be properly submitted to the court.
Do you have any data or anything like that can tell the people how long does it typically take from start to finish this mutual consent divorce?
So, just from my own experience of having been doing this for, well, I've been practicing for 33 years, but mutual consent's only been available in Maryland for about the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So, essentially, having done this, whenever I would file the complaint and do everything proper, file the complaint, serve the party, and get an answer filed by the other side, it's consistently 3 to 4 months to get the hearings, just because some jurisdictions have more judges than others. Like I'm located in Towson in Baltimore County,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Baltimore County is one of the largest by volume of a number of cases. We have over 20 judges, where we have other smaller, more rural counties that may only have 3 or 4 judges. So just the dockets of the number of sheer volume of cases are lower in in some areas, or it just takes that much longer to get a hearing.
Do both spouses need to appear in court, or can it be handled more privately?
It can be handled more. Actually, it can be handled more privately. Usually, only the moving party. If I have an agreement signed and notarized, then only the moving party needs to actually be present on the call. And usually, uncontested divorce hearings are done remotely by Zoom. They only last 5 to 10 minutes. It seems melodramatic, but ultimately, it can be a very short hearing. And the moving party can basically, I can just say, I direct your attention to page 17 or whatever page it is of the agreement. Wow. Is that your signature? Yes. You tell me who's the other signatures. Oh yeah, that's my spouse's signature, and that's good enough. And the only other thing would be if I'm representing the husband as part of a divorce decree, the wife has the ability to resume her maiden name. So they would have to just be present for a few minutes just to say that they're resuming their maiden name, and not in doing so, not to evade any creditors or any other nefarious reasons. But it's basically a twofer. They can get a name change and the divorce decree all at the same time.
Are there any common mistakes or misunderstandings that cause this mutual consent divorce to fall apart, maybe mid-process?
Yes. Usually it's where one party believes there's an agreement or meeting of the minds throughout the case, where I would draft the agreement and essentially the other party just refuses to sign. So if they won't sign the agreement, then there's no mutual consent. Then we have to just file a complaint and go through the normal process.
Wow.
Or sometimes they sign the agreement and then at the final hearing they change their mind. Unfortunately, I would say people just do usually boneheaded things or stupid things where if husband or wife met a new significant other or had a child with someone else, or even though there's an agreement resolving everything, or they pick a fight with the other party, or they go out and buy a new car, or they do something else that maybe makes the other party feel slighted in any way, like, oh, I changed my mind, I no longer agree. And when you're at the final hearing to put the agreement on the record, if the parties no longer agree again, then the court cancels the uncontested divorce hearing, and then they reschedule it for they meet with the judge, and we have to try and renegotiate or pick up the pieces.
Wow.
So it does happen.
So for someone listening who thinks this might be the right path, what's the first step they should take, Richard?
Really, I'd say would contact my office and I'd be more than schedule a consultation, and we can go over essentially what agreement you think you may have, or I can go over essentially what is marital property in Maryland, what assets you may be entitled to or may be entitled to for your divorce, and whether or not you and your spouse are able to negotiate and resolve that. And whether it's through me, we can reach an agreement just by me drafting something, and they can either have an attorney, or I could refer them to a retired judge or other attorney mediator. There's many ways to get the yes to resolve things. But people don't just come to me. Well, they can just come with an agreement already pretty much done. I just sign off on it. But ideally, there's some more legwork to do, or people may have lots of assets, and I need to bring on a financial advisor and sit down and go over all the numbers and make up these spreadsheets of what the information is. And as long as we can do like 4-way meetings with attorneys, and we can get a lot of people involved and try and resolve it, but it's still less expensive in the grand scheme of things to negotiate stuff in good faith and reach an agreement than it would be to litigate.
Awesome. Richard, thank you so much for your time and your information, sir.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. And thank you all for listening to Real Talk Family Law with Richard Lebovitz. If you're considering divorce in Maryland and think mutual consent might be the right move for your situation, Rich is here to help you understand your options and move forward with clarity. Visit LebovitzFamilyLaw.com to learn more or schedule a consultation. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review if you found this information helpful. And we'll see you all next episode.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.